Hello, my name is Barry Broadnax Jr., and I'm reapplying for the graduate assistant position. One of the questions, why am I interested in becoming a GA again or for this position? Without these past 2 years, I have enjoyed my time here in housing and residence life. I actually enjoy being a graduate assistant. A few things I enjoy about being a graduate assistant is connecting with the RAs on a personal level, more in their personal lives and also in their school lives as well. Being that mentor and friend and supervisor towards them, and also getting to know other students as well. I too was an undergrad student not too long ago, 3 years ago, and I understand that bit transitioning, whether you are a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, it can be very challenging. And I enjoy the job because I feel like I can give back in that way of giving insights of what I have been through before. For the next question, when they ask about my personal skills or things that I have that I can bring to the position, I feel like I am someone who has great communication skills. Whenever there is a problem or issue, I do know the chain of command, and I do know who to go to for, and also just for advice, and also figuring things out along the way as it go. I believe I have great conflict resolution. I'm the type where I do understand sometimes in the job you do have to make those quick decisions and think quick on your feet. But majority of the time when I am thinking about conflict resolutions, I am the type of person where, um, for example, I like to get both sides of the story from both sets of people. And I like to sit down and actually figure out where the problem is and where the issue is and how we can resolve that to make a better environment for everyone. Um, I have gotten better in my organizational skills. I utilize a planner. I put everything in my planner when it comes to anything with my personal life, rest life, or anything. Anything anyone tells me, anyone could say balloon fight next week, and I'll put in balloon fight in my planner on the day and the time with everything. So I will say that I'm pretty much organized. And for personality types, I will say I'm a huge empath. I take on other people's feelings, or I know how to understand other people's feelings and put myself in other people's shoes and try to get an understanding in that way. I see myself as someone who has patience, of making sure of being there for the residents and for my RAs as well, and knowing that everything won't happen quickly, and just knowing that eventually with time things will happen. I have learned patience a lot within this job and throughout my life as well, of having patience. Um, I think I do well with adapting to certain things. I notice here, for example, sometimes Drew, we may not have some of the resources that other buildings may have, but I'm used to adapting and getting to where we need to be to make sure that we aren't lacking here and making sure that my RAs aren't lacking as well. And inclusivity, that is one thing I thrive on no matter what, of who the person, age, race, gender, sexuality, anything like that. I try to be inclusive of everyone and try to make sure that everyone is being inclusive of one another. I don't like to see anyone being left out of something or feel like they have to be left out of something due to something they cannot control or can control. So that is one of the things. Well, those are a few of the things that I feel like make up my personality for this position. And how can I best serve my RAs? Um, right now, I best serve my RAs as being someone that they can depend on in that listening ear. My RAs know that I have an open door policy. No matter what, they can call me, text me, or come to my office hours, or even come to my room at any time that they like if they have anything going on with them, or anything that they just like to talk about within their personal lives or within the work life. And I try to be that mentor for them, someone that can be there for them and let them know that they're here. Um, just like me and a lot of other students, everyone is away from home. Everyone don't have that go-to person that they're used to having normally, and it feels good knowing that I can be that go-to person for my staff, and they can come to me whether it's work related or personal related. And if I had an unlimited budget to use for my staff, how would I use it? If I had an unlimited budget, I would try to compensate my RAs a little bit more in a way. I know a lot of them do complain sometimes about the stipend not being big enough, which I totally understand. So I would like to see how within that budget I could make their time more compensated by providing extra meals for them with that money. Like when we hold staff meetings, being able to provide extra meals, and also with the funds, a lot of my RAs have great ideas for majority of their program proposals, but sometimes the materials can get costly, and we are on a huge campus, and a lot of resources are limited and divided. And so I would say I would like to use that unlimited budget to make sure that they are compensated, um, and food wise, and also making sure that their programs are a huge success. A lot of students here on campus, they look forward to RA programs, and I think having that budget, that unlimited budget, would be even better for the RAs and the staff, because they can actually go outside of the box and do what they want to do within their programs. And I feel like that would really be a huge turn and a good change with having an unlimited budget. For the next question, managing a team of diverse RAs, and describe the time where managing the diverse team with conflict and perspectives, and how did I ensure things were making sure that things were in place for the staff. Of course, we run into something every year. Every year so far, well, yeah, so far for these past 2 years, we run into the things of, oh, well, who's staying here for spring break, or who's going to ASB, or who did this, who do that, because everyone would like their time away from the building. So with that, with conflicts that come arise with that, I try to run a democratic um, type of leadership within my staff, instead of being dictator, like, no, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I like to bring options to the table, and I like to have the staff choose those options. And if some options seem unfair, then I like to go into deeper conversations, and I like to pick out the pros and cons of um, the pros and cons of what has been presented with the options, and how we can better move forward as a team. And I personally don't like to move forward with my team leaving the office or our meetings mad, or just feel like they have no say so in anything. So I try to value their opinions as much as I can, while also holding a strong, firm ground, and making sure that things are getting done the way that they're supposed to, even when it comes to administrative tasks on their end, of like room safety, of health and safety checks, and doing the sign-in forms at the beginning of the year, in the move-out forms. I try to make sure there's a system set up, and that no one feels like they're being more overworked than the other person. And I try to come with a common ground with those individuals to make sure that everyone do know what they're doing, and also everyone has an important role, and no one feels like they're doing less or more than the next person. So I try to really incorporate everyone and have that democratic leadership style to make sure everyone feels heard and everyone's point is getting across. With the next question about having RAs being the same age or close in age with me as a graduate assistant, so far I have navigated that pretty well. Coming in with my staff, I let everyone know. I try to create that boundary already. When I come in with my staff, I let them know, yes, although we are around the same age, we're into the same things and we do the same things, is a boundary within which we do them. I try to let them know, um, me being here on campus with them, always I would be their supervisor first, and second, I will be their friend. And I try to have those clear boundaries when having conversations with them. Whenever I have a conversation with any of my RAs, and it's not RA to GA conversation, I like to have those type of conversations offline, and like to talk to them and really get to know them in ways, and I try to have my staff get to know me as well when it comes to situations like this, because I also want them to know, like, just because you do this, don't think I'm gonna look at you bad in a way as your supervisor. Like, I'm still the same age as you. I understand this time period in our lives, and I try to have that understanding. So the main thing I do try to, and I do well in, is creating those boundaries. I like to have those boundaries right there of what we can and what we cannot do while they're a student, and while I'm their supervisor, their acting supervisor at the moment. And so far, everything has been great. I have had very great personal relationships with my RAs on a GA level and on a friend level, and I will say it has worked out well so far. So far, I feel like having those boundaries is really great to have in certain cases like this, and I like to make the boundaries known. Following the next question about toxic boundaries within a work environment, um, when it comes to the work environment, I don't like to have either of my staff talk about one another to me. I feel like if someone is not doing their job, I do have an open door policy of to where my RAs can come to me, or my building manager can come to me and be like, hey, this person right here, they're not really doing this. Like, what can we do? And when they bring those concerns to me, I like to approach the other person like, hey, what's going on? I never like to put out in the front, this person came to me and said this, or I heard, I come in and I like to start conversations with them at first and try to get to know what's going on. And then when it do come to a toxic work environment, I like to hit everything head on the nail. I like to have a meeting, and I like for people to go ahead and get their frustrations out. And when I say get their frustrations out, I don't mean everyone just start blurting out what's wrong and what's going wrong with situations. I like to start off individually. All right, this person, tell me what you think, and what can we do to resolve this before we leave the room. Like I said earlier, I don't like to have anyone really leaving upset or feeling like they weren't heard. So that's one of the things I like to do, is making sure that everyone has a voice in what they're saying, but also making sure that it is very respectful. Even when it comes to our personal work chats and things of that nature, I don't like profanity in them, whether we are joking around or not. I don't like inappropriate TikTok videos being sent in, because at the end of the day, this is business. At the end of the day, we are conducting business, and I like to make sure that everyone feels safe. And if you have a toxic environment, not everyone feels safe in a toxic environment. So one of the things I like to foster is a safe environment, an environment that all of my staff feel welcome in and feel like they can talk anytime. And for the last question, with balancing the high demands of a job and knowing when to get involved in a conflict, or how to escalate the chain of command. As I mentioned earlier, how I try to keep myself grounded in my personal studies, whether that is schoolwork, clinical work, and along with being a GA, I utilize my planner heavily. Anything that has to do with my personal life, school life, or anything, I put it down in my planner or calendar. I have a written calendar, a physical calendar, that I try to keep on hand with me to make sure that I'm always putting things in there, because life does get hectic. It gets hectic for everyone, and not everyone is going to be perfect in knowing how to handle all the demands. But I say handling demands of the job in my personal life. That's what I utilize best as a calendar. I go in, I put in notes, meetings, roommate mediations, who I need to meet with as a resident, who I need to meet with as a RA, and when I need to meet with my building manager, and have those things there. And I like to make notes, follow up notes with those people as well, for as sending text messages to people or sending emails to people, just following up to making sure that everything is done correctly, and making sure that everyone's time is getting utilized, and making sure that, as I said before, everyone is getting heard. And in situations, in high demand situations, you want to make sure that people do feel heard and seen, and making sure that they or getting noticed by their GA. How I get to know my residents is um, late at nights, or when I'm doing homework. I will leave my office door open. I will do homework in my office, and I'll leave my office door open. And I'll let residents come in. Not only that, whenever I see residents out, if I may not know their name specifically, but I know their face and I know who they are, I will make it my business to see them, like stop by, be like, hey, what's going on? Like, how's the semester going, or how's this going? Like, let me know what's going on. And I try to create those impromptu, um, candid conversations with them as well, whether I'm inside the building or outside of the building. And to the next part of the question, when to know to escalate issues. Um, I've have experience with working in res life before. In my previous undergrad institution, I was an RA there for 3 years, so I do have some experience in when um, when some incidents happen. I do know, all right, uh, from RA standpoint, I do know, all right, well, I contact my co-RA who I'm on call with, get their help. If we can't resolve it ourselves, then we will go to our GA. Our GA will come in and handle it, and then to the building manager. But in this case, from a GA point of view, um, I let my RAs know, of course, I'm on call. You can always contact me, and I will be here to help you out with a situation that you do not know how to handle. In situations that I feel like that needs to be escalated, um, I like to take a deep dive into my brain for a quick second, and I try to go over things that we either went over in training, or I'll go over my past experiences of how an incident went. And if it didn't go as well, all right, well, I did it that way the last time. Let's do it this way to make it more smoothly. And if it needs to be a building manager attention, um, I've had um, I've had incidents to where I had to get my building manager involved, and that wasn't an issue right there. But I try not to get my building manager involved unless it is a emergent situation to get him involved. So certain situations, I try to scale it on a scale. Really, in the hospital, you have a pain scale, 0 to 10. That's how I like to do most incidents. I like to scale them on a 0 to 10 emergent situation and try to go down how it's supposed to be handled and within the chain of command of who we need to call. And when I am feeling unsure about who I need to call, I do utilize my building manager, or I also do reach out to other GAs as well and be like, hey, I'm having this problem with this. Has anyone had a problem with this, and what were your steps in it? So I try to utilize my resources of my experienced RAs who have been here longer than me, who are graduating this semester, which I'm very sad about. Um, so I utilize my experienced RAs, then I utilize my own experience. And based off of my own experience, I try to go back to trainings I've had, and then I go to my building manager. And I will contact my building manager throughout the night or throughout the day sometimes and figure out how to handle situations. So yes, but thank you for listening to my videos, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to view the videos. I hope you guys have a great rest of your spring semester, and I look forward to hearing from you.